Right, before we start, a warning, a bit of a disclaimer. This story is just that. It's fiction. The real National Health Service, the NHS, it doesn't hire exorcists. It doesn't have a special task force for things that go bump in the night. The real NHS is full of brilliant people. Doctors, nurses, porters. They fight real things, viruses, illnesses, broken bones. They use science, medicine, incredible amounts of tea. This story is different. It takes that world of science and order and asks a question, a very old question. What happens when something doesn't fit the charts? What if medicine met something truly, truly unknown? So, a tale, a thought experiment. Familiar, comforting NHS halls as a stage. The beep of a heart monitor, the echo of an ancient fear. People who stand on the edge and try not to flinch. Remember that. This is something else entirely. Something from the shadows. St. Bartholomew's Hospital, London, one of the oldest. Night shift, corridors stretch out. Long, empty, quiet, too quiet. A cleaner's cart, left by a doorway, rolls slowly across the polished floor. It moves on its own. No slope, no draft. It just moves. Alarms ring on a deserted ward, shrill, demanding, but no emergency. No one pressed a button. A young nurse on rounds feels sudden, intense cold on the back of her neck. A breath. A whisper right by her ear. Words lost. Just a sound. A sibilant hiss that doesn't belong. Ward 13. A security camera records a flicker. It's a new camera, top of the line. For 1 second, a shape hangs in the air. A smudge of black, darker than any shadow. It's there, then gone. Night staff gather in the break room, tea going cold. They talk, they whisper. Some try to laugh it off. Enter Dr. Aisha Malik, neurologist. She is a woman of facts, of data, of proof you can hold in your hand or see on a screen. She doesn't believe in ghosts. She believes in faulty wiring, auditory hallucinations, the tricks an overtired mind can play. She is called in to consult, to put the rumours to bed. She watches the CCTV footage from Ward 13 again and again. She sees the flicker, the black shape. She tells herself it's a glitch, a digital artifact, but it's a very strange glitch. She orders a full diagnostic on the camera system. Nothing. It's working perfectly. Dr. Malik is thorough. She has the air quality tested. She checks for infrasound, low-frequency noises. She inspects the electrical grid for the entire wing. She finds things, small things, unexplained things. At the exact moment the camera recorded the shape, machines across the ward registered a brief, powerful electromagnetic surge. It lasted less than a second. Not a grid power spike, something localized, something that came from nowhere and went nowhere. The staff tried to find a reason. The fear, though, it doesn't listen to reason. It grows, a quiet, creeping thing. Staff on the night shift start calling in sick. The ones who come to work walk in pairs. They avoid Ward 13. They report footsteps in empty rooms. They find medical charts rearranged. Small, annoying, but things that shouldn't be happening. The press smells a story. A local London paper. Haunted hospital. A silly little piece, but people notice. They gather at the hospital gates at night, hoping to see something. The hospital becomes a local curiosity. Anxiety takes a toll. Patients get agitated. They complain of nightmares. They say they see faces in the windows, even on upper floors. Dr. Malik documents everything. She writes it all down. She's building a case file but doesn't know the crime or the illness. She feels like she's mapping a disease with no known cause. The hospital at night no longer feels like healing. It feels like a place holding its breath, waiting. Staff look to Dr. Malik for answers. She has more questions. The known world is starting to fray at the edges. A patient is brought into the accident and emergency department at Queen Elizabeth Hospital. They are frantic. They say a voice told them to walk into traffic. The doctors on duty do what they are trained to do. They suspect acute psychosis. They call for a psychiatric evaluation. They try to calm the patient down. They administer a sedative. But the patient keeps crying, keeps repeating the same phrase.
It's not my voice. It's not my voice.
The medical team is professional. They are calm, but they are also unsettled. There is a strange coldness in the cubicle. A psychiatrist, Dr. Marcus Lee, comes to speak with the patient. He is kind. He is patient. He tries to understand the root of the delusion. As he talks, the patient's heart monitor starts to behave erratically. The temperature sensor in the room shows a sudden, localized drop of several degrees right next to the bed. The staff on shift note it down. It's an anomaly. Later, a nurse listens back to a recording she made on her phone, a voice memo to remind herself of a drug dosage. On the tape, underneath her own voice, there is another sound, a whisper. It sounds like it's right next to the microphone. It says something she can't quite make out. The incident in Birmingham is a turning point. It suggests this isn't just about one old London hospital. The idea begins to move through the NHS network, not as a fact, but as a rumour, a frightening possibility. What if this isn't stress? What if this isn't mass hysteria? The national press picks up the story now. It's no longer a local curiosity. Newspapers, TV news channels start asking questions. Is this a new type of psychological contagion? A new syndrome spreading through the population? The fear is no longer confined to the staff. It's in the public mind now. People are scared to go to hospitals. They cancel appointments. The NHS, an institution built on trust and science, suddenly finds itself facing a crisis of confidence. The problem isn't just medical anymore. It's a public relations nightmare. The government starts getting calls. Questions are asked in Parliament. The pressure mounts. The NHS has to be seen to be doing something. But what do you do when the illness you're fighting doesn't appear in any medical textbook? What do you do when the enemy is a whisper in the dark? Things get worse. 3 deaths. 1 in London, 1 in Birmingham, 1 in Manchester. The cases are unconnected in every way, but one. But the staff who were there, they know what they saw. They saw the lights flicker. They felt the cold. They heard a sound just before the scream, like the air tearing. The NHS Trust Board is terrified. These are real deaths. This is not a story anymore. The leaders of the NHS Trust hold an emergency meeting. It's held in a secure, windowless room deep in their headquarters. They have to consider every option, every single one, no matter how unorthodox. They have data from Dr. Malik. They have reports from psychologists. They have testimony from dozens of frightened nurses and doctors. And in this room, for the first time, a new name is spoken. Not a doctor, not a scientist, a priest. Father Elias Crowe. He's not a typical priest. He has a background in anthropology and history. He is known for his work in unusual circumstances. He is a consultant of a sort. Father Crowe is invited to the next meeting. He does not arrive in flowing robes. He wears a simple, dark suit. He is calm. He is quiet. He listens more than he speaks. He looks at Dr. Malik's data. He listens to the audio recordings. He doesn't promise miracles. He doesn't talk about demons or devils. He talks about patterns. He talks about phenomena that predate modern science. He says he will help them investigate. He will help them find the truth, whatever that truth may be. Section 5. The Boardroom Debate. Ethics and Consent. Before any ritual can take place, the lawyers step in. The NHS is a public body. It operates under strict rules. Legal and ethical frameworks govern everything. You can't just perform an exorcism in a public hospital. The legal department goes into overdrive. They draft protocols. They write documents thicker than telephone books. The central question is consent. How do you get informed consent for a procedure that is not medically recognized? Can a patient, possibly under some strange influence, truly consent to a spiritual rite? It is a minefield of legal and ethical problems. A special team is formed. Dr. Aisha Malik, Science and Skepticism. She monitors, records, ensures patient safety. A senior palliative care nurse, 30 years experience. She has seen things she can't explain. She believes there's more than medicine can touch. A young, pragmatic paramedic, street-hardened, no-nonsense, Father Elias Crow. They are the task force, a team of rivals forced to work together. The team spends weeks in preparation. Not about prayers and holy water, not yet. It's about logistics. It's about risk assessment. They read ancient ritual texts. They read modern NHS patient care guidelines. The lawyers insist on new consent forms. These forms are incredibly detailed. They explain that the procedure is experimental, that it is not based on medical science, and that its effects are unknown. The team has to find a way to explain this to a patient and their family without causing panic. It is a delicate, almost impossible balancing act. They choose the location. Ward 13 at St. Bartholomew's, back where it began. They prepare the ward, remove non-essential medical equipment. They set up a ring of high-resolution cameras, thermal imagers, sensitive audio recorders. Dr. Malik insists on a full medical crash team on standby just outside the door. Clear rules are established. If the patient's vital signs drop below a certain level, the ritual stops. Immediately. No arguments. The preparation is meticulous, clinical. It's an attempt to impose the order of a hospital onto the chaos of the unknown. They are ready to try. There is a stack of official-looking NHS documents on a desk with the top page titled Protocol for Unorthodox Metaphysical Intervention. Section 6. The first rite, a failure in Ward 13. The night of the first ritual is tense. The air in Ward 13 is cold and still. The patient, a young man who has been non-verbal for days, lies in the bed. His family has given consent. They are desperate. They wait in a nearby room, clutching cups of tea. The team takes their positions. Dr. Malik is at a monitoring station, her eyes fixed on a bank of screens showing the patient's heart rate, brain activity, and body temperature. The paramedic stands by the door. The nurse is by the bedside, holding the patient's hand. Father Crow stands in the center of the room. He holds a small, worn book. The ritual begins. Father Crow's voice is steady, loud. He doesn't shout. He speaks with a calm authority. He reads from his book. The words are in Latin. They are old. As he speaks, the room grows colder. The temperature in the room drops 5 degrees, then 10. The patient's heart rate begins to climb. The cameras show a flicker in the corner of the room. A shadow seems to detach from the wall and move across the ceiling. The electronic equipment begins to whine. a high-pitched sound that grates on the nerves. The lights in the ward flicker violently. The monitors at Dr. Malik's station spike. A surge of energy far stronger than the one they recorded before floods the room. The patient on the bed arches his back. His eyes snap open. They are wide with terror. A low growl seems to come from his throat, a sound that is not human. The staff feel a physical push, like a wave of pressure washing over them. Father Crow raises his voice, his words coming faster now. The ritual reaches its climax. The lights go out completely. For a few seconds, there is total darkness and silence. Then a single piercing scream echoes through the ward. When the emergency lights click on, the room is still. The patient is lying quietly in the bed, breathing evenly. The coldness is gone. The electronic whining has stopped. For a moment, they think they have done it. They think it is over. Dr. Malik checks the monitors. The patient's vitals are stable. There is a sense of relief, a shared, exhausted breath. But then they hear it, a sound from the corridor outside, a loud bang, as if every door on the floor has been slammed shut at once. The team looks at each other, a dawning horror on their faces. They haven't banished it. They have just made it angry. The first exorcism has failed. The failure in Ward 13 has immediate consequences. The problem is no longer contained. It's as if they broke open a cage. The strange events, once concentrated in a few locations, now begin to appear all over the country. It spreads like a virus. Visual map with glowing red dots in London, Manchester, Glasgow and Exeter. A ward for the elderly in Exeter reports all its doors and windows locking by themselves. In a Manchester hospital, a patient, writing on the walls, the marks are strange symbols. The patient has no memory. In Glasgow, a chorus of voices at exactly 3 a.m. The sound seems to come from the walls themselves. It's not just one voice anymore, it's many. The news cycle goes into a frenzy. Some argue it's a classic case of mass hysteria. Others point out the physical evidence, the cold spots, the energy spikes, the identical symbols appearing in different cities. Doesn't fit any known psychological model. The public is terrified. The government is in crisis mode. The NHS has to escalate its response. The small task force is officially expanded. They are given more resources, more authority. They set up a central command centre to analyse the data. They watch CCTV footage. They listen to hours of audio recordings. They try to find a pattern, a weakness. Father Crow is grim. He tells the team that the entity has spread. He uses a word. He calls it a fracturing. He believes the ritual in London didn't destroy it. The task force is now fighting a war on multiple fronts. Their job is twofold. They must try to understand and contain the entity, but they also have to manage the public fear. They have to keep hospitals running. They have to protect patients who are already vulnerable. They issue internal guidance, unexplained thermal drops, and auditory phenomena. The NHS, an institution of science, is now writing rule books for dealing with ghosts.